Hello, darling friend. I have a story just for you, and it's one of my favourites. Well, actually, I have lots of favourites, to be honest, but this one, it was long ago and it was far, far away. There was a village, a hamlet, a community, and it was filled with people who worked together, played together. They enjoyed each other's company. They laughed with each other and they shared each other's sorrows. And one of these members of the community was an old woman. She had been born into that village, and all her life she had worked alongside everyone to serve it. Now, one of the jobs that she had, which she had had for a very long time, was to take clay pots, 2 clay pots, which she had modelled earlier in her life, to take them down the dusty, arid hill to the bottom where a babbling stream ran. And she would fill both of those pots, and with a beam across her back, she would carry them back up the hill, the long, steep hill, so that all of the villagers could enjoy this cool, delicious, life-giving water. It was getting harder for her as she got older. She got up before daybreak every morning, and she would make that steep, steep climb down the hill, and she would meditate, contemplate life. On the way back up, before the sun shone too hard on her back, she would focus on how she was contributing to the community and how important that was to her. Now, day by day, she would arrive back in the village, and one of the pots would be very proud of itself, filled with this delicious water, whilst the other pot was feeling less and less confidence because it had a crack in it. And this crack was getting bigger, and every time she got to the top of the hill, that little pot had less and less water in it. So that one day when she put the 2 pots down and cleaned them out, that tiny little pot said, "I'm useless. Stop using me. You must put me to one side. I can no longer serve you." And the woman had a heavy heart. The other little clay pot felt very proud of itself. "I tell you what," said the wise old woman, "why don't I take you with me just one more time?" And the little cracked clay pot agreed. They walked down the hill the next morning, just at sunup. And she whispered to that little pot, look at the side of the path as you walk down." And the little pot looked, and it was arid and barren as expected. Yep, the little pot took it in. At the bottom, as ever, she filled up the pots. The little babbling brook laughed and bubbled and chatted away to her. And as she turned back up the hill, once again she whispered to the little pot with the crack, just look at the side of the path. And the little pot looked down, and to its amazement and surprise, there were flowers, yellows and pinks and purples. There were butterflies and insects and all sorts of little birds twittering away. There was greenery everywhere. It was abundant, and the little pot was amazed. But of course the woman laughed. Of course, this is what's happening to the water that your crack lets out. You think that you're useless, but look what you have provided. Look at your contribution, all of this beauty. And the little pot welled up. And the woman said, "So you see, little cracked pot, my friend, you are not useless." And I think it's Leonard Cohen, isn't it, that says, "There's a crack in everything. It's how the light gets in." So, My cracked pot friend, if you feel that you have no use, or that you're not doing what you want, or that you're not achieving and being the contribution that you want to be, remember that little crack, and remember that it's how the light gets in. Remember your worth. And I hope you have a really glorious, glorious, abundant day.